Hello once again, everyone. So, as the title suggests, I'm returning to moveset breakdowns, and I'm kind of doing a bit of an odd one. I've decided, since I was playing it so much recently, to just briefly go over the moveset, at least for one-handed sword, from the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Now, the reason I decided to go with Skyrim is because, like I said, I was playing it recently, and it's not going to be a complicated moveset. Don't find a ton of deepness in this. But there are certainly some general things that certainly when other stuff is going on, you may not necessarily notice. So let's start off with the basic stance that we're going to get. Everyone in Skyrim is going to fight predominantly right-handed. Of course, you can equip a left-handed weapon and fight with it, but the stance and etc. are going to reflect this. Left foot is forward, right hand is held down in basically a low eber, and then the left hand is going to be just kind of hovering on front. If you had a spell or whatever, it'd be here. Alternatively, you will also see heavy use of shields. All the shields in Skyrim are going to be center grip, so that means that you're holding onto a handle, in which case it is just kind of held straight in front of you. Obviously, it'd be a little bit bigger, but same sort of idea. Covers you pretty well. Now, for the actual attacks themselves, you have only two and then a heavy. When it comes to attacking stationary, what this is going to look like is we're going to step out with our left foot as we rear up with our right hand. Then we're going to cut a wide middle, kind of slight coming down from above, through. And the weight is going to shift onto that leg. So here's that again. Now from here, the animation ends, but if you combo it together, then it's still going to be two different animations, but it looks as though it's meant to be flowing off of this. So, out. Then we're going to take a slight step forward with our left foot as we come back up with a very wide undercut, up. There's a lot of heavy core turn going on and a lot of sinking of the weight. So here's that again, out, up. And it really is just kind of whipping the sword through. Nothing too complicated here. All you need to do is just two long edge cuts pretty much. Now for the heavy, meanwhile, what it appears to be is you start like you're about to do your first cut, probably because you're holding the mouse down or attack button down rather than clicking a separate button. But it's going to be rear up, then 12 to 6 with a heavy weight drop, and the left leg should still step out. So rear, straight down, return to guard. Again, nothing too complicated. Where it starts to get a little interesting is when it comes to movement. So when it comes to movement, what we're going to be seeing is we've got four main directions. You can be moving forward, backward, side, side. We'll start off with moving to our left. So over here, the footwork that we're going to be seeing is going to be, it's going to stay left foot forward for the first cut. We're going to do what is called a shuffle step. So that's when you just kind of glide, as it were. It's not quite a gathering step, but it is sort of. It's just moving myself over the side, a little cushion of stepping pretty much. At the same time as we do this, we're going to throw our right cut through. Now, if you continue moving to the side, obviously if you stop, you then just do the standard animation again. But if you continue moving to the side, then we're going to see a right foot pass with our returning cut from below. That's where things get kind of nifty, because it's almost like you load and then you run past the opponent, and then you're going to bring this foot back and around. So here's that again, slowish, but shuffle through, then it's going to be shuffle pass and up. I'll do that one more time. And then just back up. Now, when it comes to the heavy at this direction, it's going to be just a more deeply loaded cut from left, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check my notes. Yes, left heavy. So it's going to be a loaded cut from left. So if I'm moving this direction, the player character will load, then rip it back. So nothing too complicated there. Let's try and do a little chain if we can. So shuffle step 1, 2, and wrong cut. So that would be here. There we go. Same sort of idea. You're just loading your hips and cutting on this sort of 50-degree or so line as opposed to normal 45. Next up, we have moving to our right, and that's where things diversify. So, our first thing we're going to get is we're going to get our first 45-degree ankle chop. So, moving to the right, I'm going to keep my left foot in front. We're going to once again do a little shuffle step, but at that same time, it's going to be a relatively crisp cut down. So through, loads up on this side. Then it's going to be once again a loaded wide sort of cut from below through, but we're going to keep the left foot in front. And then for its heavy, that's where things are going to get exciting, because those of you that have been fans of the show will know that there's one thing, well, two things, I'm really not very good at. Number one is kicking, for those of you that sat through my Ghost of Tsushima vids. Number two is spinning. These are two things I'm not particularly good at, but we're going to go for it anyway. So, we're doing the heavy when you're moving to your right. What's going to happen is you're going to step in with your left leg, over, tuck it tight underneath you, open, and you'll end up left foot forward again. So here's that again. I'll use the center line as reference. So over, open, and then left foot again. So the trick with this is not to travel forward, but instead, if I'm using this line as a reference, step directly across from where you were originally with all that pressure. So now we'll try to do the chain on this side. I'm probably not going to be particularly good at it, but shuffle step, cut, shuffle step, cut, then around, out. So, nice and fun. I'll give that another go. I'm not sure exactly how well the fisheye lens is doing here, so apologies if I move off screen, but shuffle step, cut, up, cut, through, out. And no problem. Now, next up, we're going to have moving forward. This is where we're going to get, in my opinion, kind of the best structured cuts, which will be, I start here, I'm going to step and actually do a passing step with my right foot. So we'll see a little bit of initial engagement, sort of loading that left foot. Then it's going to be pass forward with a 45-degree cut, shuffle up with a left cut, and then following that, your left leg will be in front again. So, and I'm doing my cut very sheer because that's my habit. It is much, much wider. I will try to make that happen. But a little preparatory motion, cut, shuffle, wide, back to guard pretty much. If you then do a heavy, which I don't have room to do it off of the forward movement right now, what it'll be is you will rear up and then pass forward with a big cut, as to be expected, which then if you were to fire a light off of that, it'd just be your standard. So I'll try to do that in this space. We will see how it works. I might trip over my own stuff like an absolute fool. We will see. So, rep, cut, cut, rear, cut. And then you will just return back to guard. Now, and of course when it comes to the shield's just hovering wherever my hand is pretty much. It's mostly kept in front of you over the course of this. Not actively, more just that's where your hand hovers, which isn't a big deal. Now moving backward, we again get kind of weird cuts, and really weird in this case. So what's going to happen is this first action, and I looked at the animation quite a bit, it looks like it maybe wasn't completed or alternatively was cut off too early. So what's going to happen is we're going to remain left foot forward and we're going to cut contra body, but because of that it's a relatively straightforward chop. So it almost looks like just a quick little tip cut almost, a little just push out to center. Following that, you'll load off your other leg and cut wide from below again. So boom, boom, nice wide, nice shift of weight. And then if you choose to do a heavy while going backward, you get the mother of all loading steps. You step back, load, then bring everything straight down and basically hit the floor. So here's that one more time. Step back, load, straight over the shoulder, straight down. So now, moving backward, here's light, light, heavy. So, weird chop, big chop, step, load, down. And it really just comes straight over that shoulder. I'm not playing the full engagement because I will probably hit the floor if I do that. But, certainly looks good if you're swinging a mace around. Now, the next kind of direction we have is not really a direction. It's going to be, and the thing that actually inspired this video, is that you can equip two weapons at the same time. Now, what's also interesting about this is when you do so obviously the shield is also a weapon, but, well, technically in the game it's not as considered apparel, but when you equip two weapons, from first person you're standing like this, but from third person, you adopt a pretty good guard. So as soon as I equip my second weapon, now the left hand is going to be held out with the blade more presented forward. The right hand is going to be held up above your head, and you are still left foot forward. Now this position is one you're going to actually see if you look at two-weapon fighting from around the world. Pretty much every culture does something like this at one point or another. The idea being this hand is still controlling everything in the middle, and then this one can guard the head as well as prepare a cut from dominant or non-dominant side. So regardless of which foot I have forward, this is a very common thing you will see, and it really just kind of closes off all the options. So if a cut is delivered, I can raise this or bring this across to defend, or I may raise this or what have you, and I'll always have an avenue of attack. Now, in regards to launching the cuts, they pretty much look exactly the same if you just attack with your dominant hand, i.e., like I said, nothing changes. So if I were to just attack from here, they'll just kind of ignore the sword, and it will be through, up. So we're just hovering there like the shield would. When you attack from this, though, kind of disappointingly, the only attack you'll do will be a downward left cut with that hand. So if I'm standing here and I attack with my offhand, no footwork, just straight through, little chop. Looks pretty good with a dagger. With a sword, it looks a little meh. But the more interesting thing about it is going to be if you're moving laterally or if you choose to go in place. And so by lateral, I mean either to the side, forward, or backward. You will always do the same animation. And oh boy, it's time for more spinning. So for this one, it'll be a cut from that side. So if I'm moving that way, nope. If I'm moving that way, I'm going to across, out, still into it. If I'm moving this way, it's going to be, and this one's going to be difficult to do, it's going to be across, out. If I'm moving forward, then it's going to be across, out. And if I'm going backward, it's going to be back step, across, out. So kind of disappointing that there's only really 2 animations for that, but don't worry, there's something that makes up for it. And this is, like I said, the reason I decided to do this video. If you do a heavy while staying in place, rather than doing a cut, you will actually do a thrust. And it's the only thrust that a sword does, with the exception of the finishing moves, which at some point I might cover for funsies. But if I'm standing here, the animation is going to be, you'll prep up like you're doing a left cut, but then drop your guard back in front of you. So here, here, then it's going to be a left accrescimento, so an advancement of the lead foot, with just a nice little jab to central target. So here's that again. Prep, thrust, recover. Here's from the side. Prep, thrust, recover. And the right hand just remains up. So now with this, you've pretty much got the basic Dragonborn moveset. I didn't dive into using other weapons because the animation doesn't change as near as I can tell. It's all just right swing, left swing, heavy goes from the top, or alternatively, heavy comes from the opposite side, heavy comes from the opposite side. All the offhand weapons seem to be about the same. However, like I said, and I'm not going to cover the two-hand weapons because most of those don't really, I might cover them in the finishing moves, but most of them don't have anything terribly interesting. It's still the same left, then right, but a lot more horizontal, and then straight over the top. So nothing too complicated there. But like I said, just wanted to kind of do this since I was playing the game so much. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I would love to do the finishing moves on this, so if that interests you, please comment below. But otherwise, another moveset breakdown in the bag, and I didn't fall over, so go me. But thank you all very, very much for watching, and we'll go over some other movesets another time.